On this episode, we discuss Night Swim.
Ba-dum. Boom, 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 boom. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. No?
Nope,
Oh,
that's
never mind.
that's the wrong theme.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Flophouse. I'm Dan McCoy.
And I'm Stuart Wellington.
I'm Elliot Kalin.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Man, did you hear the spooky wind whistling through the trees? The leaves are falling.
The cackle of a witch in the distance.
Chains rattling. Chains everywhere.
Creaky doors. Don't oil that door up. Wait till November to do that.
No, yeah. You got to keep it creepy and creaky
Mhm.
for the season.
Creepy
A little
crawlies crawling underfoot.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's
Along
how
with
it
all
goes.
those crunchy leaves on the ground. Yep.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
all the
nothing-
various colors.
Creepier than a crunchy leaf.
And the ground is filled with zombies and tremors and shit.
Yeah. They're
Chuds
called
and whatnot.
graboids, Stuart.
Oh, why do you, man? I'm going to get roasted in the comments.
As you can tell, obviously, from everything we just said,
Yeah.
we're in Shocktober, the part of the Flophouse calendar year where we talk horror movies. In the old days, we sort of did it all the time, but now it's been sequestered to its own month.
That was when Stuart got to pick the movies more.
Yeah.
often than
Well, it
not.
was when we did a lot more picking the movie we're going to talk about the night that we were recording.
Uh-huh.
We're like, this seems good. Why not this?
Yeah,
Mhm.
this little movie poster looks terrible.
Yeah, this is
Mhm.
worth our time. Sorority House Row. Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
But for this first Shocktober surprise, we watched
Not a
Night
surprise.
Swim.
This,
Yeah.
I mean, this feels like a blast from the past in that it does feel like the kind of movie we would settle on just by seeing what's available on a
Yep.
streamer the
Yeah, let's
night
watch
that we were
that
at Dan's
one.
apartment.
About the haunted pool, guys.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it was a surprise to me about a month ago when I texted you guys that I was on the treadmill and I was watching Night Swim, and Dan's like, "We're gonna have to do that for Shocktober,
Well-
so you might as well. I hope you like it." I'm like, "Shit,
Here's the thing.
I do like it."
horror horror in general has been better lately than it was for a while. I was looking at recent horror movies that we could do for
Mhm.
Shocktober, and this was kind of the most major one that got a lot of bad reviews in recent memory. So normally I would have been like, yeah, that's fine, but I kind of had my sights set on this one. Although I don't know, it sort of turned out to not have a lot of electricity in it.
No,
maybe?
That's
I
true.
mean, spoiler alert for our final judgments. This turned out to be again a blast from the Flophouse past, and that this is a real filler of a movie in a lot of ways. Like it's
Yeah,
it's a real time filler. Yeah,
Our boys over at Bloomhouse are cooking up some bland stuff for us to eat.
but we'll talk about it, you know. But it's funny that Dan was like, "Oh boy, we better dive into Night Swim." And while I was watching it, I was like, "Yeah, this feels like it's a movie.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, there's movie stuff going on."
Technically, yeah.
It was one
But-
of these movies that I saw the trailer and there's a lot of like chuckling in the theater because people were like, "Oh boy, a haunted pool? No, thank you. What are those ad wizards in Hollywood cooking up for us today?" And I actually watched the trailer being like, I don't know, like if approached with the right spirit, this could be fun. Like I like that sort of silliness in a premise.
Yeah, pools can be
Um,
scary, dude. What if you do a sick ass cannonball and your underpants fall off?
Well,
Yeah.
but also pools are scary. Like people die in them. It is the
Yeah.
it is the most dangerous thing you can have in your house after a gun. Basically,
Yeah,
a
which is
pool.
why you
And
have
if you had both,
a pool out back.
Yes, well, that's why I have a pool that I shoot a gun into. Yeah,
yeah, I feel like
it's-
they
just
keep
to
each
show-
other in check, is what you're saying,
exactly.
right?
Every now and then, if the gun's acting up, I throw it in the pool, and if the pool looks like it's got some ideas on its mind, I shoot it a few times. Yeah,
When you throw the gun in the pool, do you imagine you're the guy from The Irishman?
I always
Which
imagine I'm
guy?
the guy from The Irishman,
The Irishman.
Okay,
the
one who paints
titular
houses?
Irishman. Yeah, the one who paints houses. The one who's an incredibly old young man.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, "Oh, Joe Pesci, I'll paint your house for you."
Yeah. But for having sort of like
Red blood, black bullets, green
Oh,
clovers.
if you don't leave
Oh.
me alone, I'll chop me fucking fingers off.
I don't
Yeah, wait a minute. What if that was the Irishman that was in it? I mean,
Yeah.
Kerry Condon, who's in this movie and is in that
Uh-huh.
is in the Banshees of
Let's
Inisherin.
say criminally wasted in this movie.
Let's say underutilized. That's true. Certainly is not given as much to tear into as she is in her work with Martin McDonagh. That's for sure.
Yeah. I don't want to get out.
I figure I might not put the pool in the back. It seems a wee bit haunted. That's the Irishman in Night Swim.
Yeah.
I don't want to get out over our skis too much and like make a judgment too early in the show, but
you may change your mind. Yeah.
Well, no, I do think that like part of the thing was like my anticipation that maybe this would be fun was based on the idea of like leaning into the silliness a little bit more. Like I feel like the movie could use a bit more of a grindhousey spirit, maybe.
Yes. I will say this about it. In a movie about a haunted pool, the haunted pool was the least interesting part of the movie for me. And I found myself wishing this was a story about a family that's dealing with a major transition in their lives, and that there was not a haunted pool in it. And it has more pool stuff than the movie Pontypool, which has no pool in it. So you got to give it that.
And no Ponty.
Yeah, let me.
There's
is.
there's also a 0% Ponty
Can't
as
believe
well.
Elliot showed up with fucking receipts against Pontypool. Okay, let's dig into this.
Let's dive in.
Yep. Okay. Let me just get out my notes. Okay.
Feels like Stuart put on his reading glasses, and it's like it sounded like he was fumfering so that we would comment on it. They're great looking glasses.
I'm a very good physical performer, Elliot. Okay. So the movie opens. It's night. We have a house. There's a pool in back. That's right. The haunted pool is in the back of this house. Inside the home, there is a sick kid hooked up to some machines. His little sister or big sister, but it's a little girl named, who we will find out is named Rebecca. Goes outside because she thinks there's something going on with the pool. She sees his like toy floating in the pool. Then
It's
a ghost
like a little
pushes
boat.
her in.
It's like
and
a little motorboat.
Yeah. Which is a super important detail. And she gets pushed.
I mean, it shows up multiple times throughout the movie, so you might as well describe it now.
Which is weird because like if you're gonna have a toy that is inexplicably in a pool, put something that doesn't normally go in water, right? Like a boat.
What's strange to me about it is it becomes the thing that the spirit in the pool is using to lure people in, and it's like, why did it grab onto this one toy boat as like its thing? If this, in theory, this thing has been around since time immemorial and it's had many victims, how come it's always that boat? But it's because it's what they established in the beginning of the movie.
Isn't that what like Georgie was chasing when Pennywise ripped his arm off?
It was a origami boat in it.
Yeah, it was like a paper boat like you'd make out of a newspaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our friend Kurt's daughter was like savage about Georgie and it. By the way, I thought it was so hilarious. Like she was like, that kid deserved. Like, why are you gonna like believe in why are you gonna do what a clown in a sewer does?
Yeah. Well, these city kids are built different, Dan.
Yeah,
that's true. Than those kids in Derry. I mean, but it is all. I mean, it's all. They're tied to the fact that they have to fulfill what the audience expects from the first version of that story, Georgie Girl, with its famous theme song, "Hey there, Georgie Girl, listen to the clown inside the sewer."
Yeah, I remember that song. Of course.
So as I said,
it's gonna tell you what you should do. Her, hey there, Georgie Girl. So they were like, the fans are gonna understand after having seen Georgie Girl that Georgie in it is gonna listen to this clown. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So back to Night Swim. Rebecca gets pushed into the pool by a ghost, and then the pool like spins her around and then drowns her. Okay. Years later.
Classic haunted pool.
Classic haunted pool.
You know, I'm not actually someone who's like sensitive to child death in movies as
you love it.
Yeah,
well,
for it.
I just know that like
Dan's
parents,
like, who could kill a child? Me in a movie.
Yeah.
Parents love to talk about
like, Manchester by the Sea. I wish more kids had burned up in that house.
I'm just like parents, especially new parents, love to talk about like, oh, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. And as someone who has not had that experience,
you can't do it anymore, but it's because the kid keeps you from getting into that mood, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly, as I grow older, like this bothered me more than most because it was sort of realistic in the situation. Like I know how dangerous like pools can be for kids. And you know, so unlike say Assault on Precinct 13, where the death of a child is sort of like almost a shocking dark joke.
It's very
here.
rare that someone just drives up to a kid on the street randomly and shoots them in the face. as they're
Certainly an
doing
ice
assault
cream
on-
man
Yeah,
doesn't
an
do
assault
it
on
that
precinct.
often.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say 0 times.
Guys, that movie's wild.
It is a wild movie. But you're right that there is something much more realistic about a kid drowning in a pool. I mean, that's
Okay.
the number one type of person that is killed by pools is
Yeah.
children. You know.
Okay,
But it's,
well, speaking of-
but the strange thing is, even though knowing that is a danger that my own children occasionally face, and I'm glad, and I'm always worried about them. Every time one of my kids goes underwater to swim, I get very nervous just for a moment before they come up again. It didn't affect me that much. Maybe because, like, I don't know. This movie is, I think if it
You made
was,
sure that your pool isn't haunted?
well, the one thing is, there's a fence around that pool. This pool in this movie did not have a fence around it. Pool owners, you got to put a fence around it. That's the most important thing. Put a ring on it if you want to keep her, and put a fence around that pool if you want your kids to stay safe.
Oh, man.
These are important
Very
life
quotable,
lessons.
Elliot.
from-
But I think the movie was
yep.
trying so hard to feel serious, I think, that it kind of went around the bend for me
Yeah.
in some ways.
Yeah, so we get the title.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I read the title.
Years later, we meet a new family who is house hunting in a little suburb near the Twin Cities, from what we're told, which, again, I do have to point out, that seems like a weird location for a house with a haunted pool. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you're not going to get to use that pool that much of the year, right?
No, you're not going to get to use that pool that much of the year. Especially, no, in winter it's done. In autumn it gets really cold. But as we'll find, it's the pool was more built there because of the presence of a natural spring.
magical.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were arguing that, the water is more haunted down south than it is around the Twin Cities.
In the
I
bayou,
mean,
you better believe it is. That's for sure.
yeah, that's true.
There's all that voodoo floating around in
Yeah,
there.
that's where Swamp Thing lives.
Yeah, you know it.
Okay, so we meet this family. We have the father.
Down here, we got some haunted water, not like your safe water up north. When I moved, that's Crawdaddy. He goes, when I moved to Connecticut up from Louisiana, I think I missed the po' boys, I missed the beignets, and I missed my haunted water.
Oh, wow, that was a plus for him.
Yeah. No, he missed
Long-awaited
it.
return of
Yeah.
Crawdaddy.
Yeah.
So-
The haunted water was a plus. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You go swam, you don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get wet. You're going to have a nice time. You're going to get dragged down to the underworld. That risk made it worthwhile.
Yeah.
But
He's
up
a
here in
thrill
Connecticut,
seeker, yeah.
this cement pool, just nice. Never tries to drag you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Weird the things you miss,
Yeah. We all
Funny.
grow up Crawdaddy.
I spent so much of my life wishing I didn't have to worry about the water spirits pulling me down to the
yeah,
underworld.
That's true.
Now I kind of miss it. Like
Yeah,
that song, like when a song,
naiads and whatnot.
like that song "Stay" by Lisa Loeb. Wasn't a fan of it when I was
okay.
young, but now it hits me with the nostalgia.
Really, really wild
Interesting.
pronunciation, but I'm down with it.
Stand on that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how they say it back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's pronouncing clurb.
Guys, I once brought Lisa Loeb some cheese. I just wanted to mention that.
Legally, or did
Unsolicited?
you like
Yeah,
stalk
what's
her?
the-
no,
Yeah.
no. Our friend Sarah Schaefer had her on her live.
Oh yeah,
talk
I
show.
operated one of the cameras for the recording
Yeah.
of that show. Yeah.
And we were like, we got a big guest for once. We got to bring her some cheese.
Yeah, did
want her to
did
perform
she
music.
complain that she had nerd sweat all over the cheese when he delivered it?
I was starstruck. She was just sitting in the back doing crosswords though. She seemed to enjoy the cheese. I don't know. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. Well, what a story.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so we meet this family. The father is Ray, played by what's his name?
Wyatt Russell.
Yeah, Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's kid.
Third generation Russell. Yeah.
He is a recently retired or on leave baseball player.
He is experiencing medical problems, and so he has had to go into early retirement.
We will learn
He wants to get
later.
back. Yeah.
We'll learn later that he is suffering from what they describe as secondary progressive MS,
Mhm.
and it seems to be getting worse. But baseball's his life. He loves baseball. All he wants is more baseball. His wife Eve, played by Carrie Condon, is a
Academy Award nominee.
Academy Award nominee, is a school administrator, and she is excited. One thing she's excited about is the prospect of settling down a little bit, because I guess they've traveled a lot for Ray's work. And though she loves him, she wants to make sure he understands he's not just baseball. He's also a father.
But he's Mr. Baseball.
He's Mr. Baseball.
Oh, wait,
a
no,
minute.
that's Tom Selleck.
That
right?
is Tom Selleck, yeah.
They
And he's not
haven't-
Mr. 3000. That was
No,
Bernie
that's,
Mac.
yeah.
Mhm.
Different Mr.
And he's not Mr. Clean. That of course is a bald mascot for a cleaning.
Mhm.
or
he's not
Mr. Mister, which is a band.
He's not
Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful, the famous shark that Dan is always trying to pitch ideas to in his
Yeah.
mirror.
Yeah.
That's a shark.
Yeah.
Is
And
that
he's
a
not
Shark
one of
Tank
the-
thing?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about
He's not
Shark
one of
Tank.
the Mr. Men, the series of children's books where
I
they
don't
each
know.
they have little characters with different
Oh,
kinda
yeah,
things about
yeah.
them.
Like Little Miss and Little, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Little Miss
So,
can't be wrong.
No, legally.
yeah, legally.
By
can't
act
be wrong.
of Congress.
Yeah, by
Yeah.
act. So their elder daughter is Izzy. We know that she likes to swim, or she develops a crush on this kid who's in the JV Christian swim team.
Yeah. She's
which
the
just
more
seems like
athletic
a lot of additional things there. There's
Yes.
a lot of adjectives.
She's the more athletic of the two siblings.
More outgoing, more
More
athletic.
outgoing, yeah.
And then they have a younger son who seems like a little nerd, kind of a turd. And what do they name him? Elliot.
Yeah, his name is Elliot. Spelled wrong.
Spelled,
But-
yeah,
You're in the
yeah.
One
clear
T.
now, I guess.
And he's a little kid. He's like, he worships his dad. He's small for his age. He just wants to spend time with his dad, but his dad is very focused on initially having MS and then recovering.
Yeah, and there's
Well,
this
and
vibe that they can't relate. He can't relate as well to his son because his son isn't athletic or
Yeah.
And
he's-
his son wants to be good at baseball so he can get his dad's love and approval, but he is not. He just doesn't have it. He's just not good
It's
at it.
just like the Kalen household.
I mean, I want my son to be so good at baseball because it's all I care about. It's the only thing that I care about.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so the opposite of the Kalen household because my older son, all he cares about is baseball. That's all he wants to do all the time. And I'm like, can we talk about
and
Yeah,
anything
before
else?
he's
you
constantly pushing you down, being like, "Get out of my way, nerd."
Yeah, before
Yeah,
the
kinda.
He does get up in my face a lot. And he gets up in my face and starts beatboxing a lot, which I don't
Oh
love.
wow!
I do kind of like that. That's like a Connor O'Malley bit.
Yeah. But I will say, so this is what I started watching this movie and I'm like, it made me really miss. It was like, there is a time when Hollywood would make a movie that was about a former professional baseball player dealing with MS. His family is having trouble adjusting to the fact that his life feels empty because the one thing he cared about is not there. He's having trouble relating to his son because his son just does not have the same skill and talent that he has for this one thing. And the wife is kind of trying to figure out how to navigate these emotions. And I was like, I kind of just want to see that movie.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I
want to
can
see
see
like the ordinary people or whatever about that family. And every moment before the haunted pool, I was like, can we just be a movie about like a family and they don't have to have a haunted pool?
You wanna watch Night Swim based on a novel by John Irving.
I mean, kind of. I mean, not quite as quirky, but like
Okay.
it made me
Yeah.
think about like the movie The Great Santini, which I don't love, but like
Yeah.
The Great Santini, until it starts getting into like movie plot territory, it's like you're seeing a family and you're seeing how they interact, and like there's an entertainment value and a dramatic value to that. So it just made me sad for, oh yeah, there was a period where Hollywood made a lot of movies that were just about like people, but now they got to have haunted pools. What are you going to do,
So they're house shopping. They find this house that has a pool. It's the same house as the opening. Ray, at one point, they see the pool. Ray's kind of obsessed with it. And he sees that there's a baseball sitting on the pool cover, and he reaches for it. I don't know if you guys understand symbolism. He reaches for it, and he slips and falls into the pool, and he has this like series of visions of himself playing baseball. And that before he manages to drag himself out, and they're like, "We're buying this pool." So they
You gotta
buy
buy
a
it.
house.
You used
Just
it-
the pool.
Well, you use the pool, you got to buy it now. Yep.
Yeah,
It's just
the
like that
idea
movie
is-
we bought a zoo. It's because he wanders into a zoo. You got to buy it now.
Yeah,
We'll just sleep on the pool. Like, no, the pool comes with the house. You got to buy the
You have
house.
to.
over here.
You have to get the
Okay.
house. We can't just get just the pool. What if we buy like the pool in like one of the rooms in the house?
Yeah.
No, it's a set. You got to buy the whole thing.
What if we do sort of a pool share with whoever owns the house?
Yeah, where we get the pool and we share it with them sometimes. No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
What if it's like a pool share type thing where if Cher wants to use the pool, we'll let her use it?
I mean, that's
Well,
that's
obviously,
an outstanding rule. in
If
my
that's
pool.
gonna happen, then
I mean,
sure.
if Cher wanted to use your pool, I don't know why you would say no.
Yeah, if
You never
Cher
say
showed
no.
up to use your pool, Elliot, would you be like, no, thank you?
I'd be like, turn back time to before you
Yeah.
asked me that question because the
Yeah,
answer
yeah.
is no.
Okay, so part of the
No,
reason
of course
they
I
take
would
this
let her use
house
the pool. Yeah.
is that again, Ray is like his doctor suggests some low impact exercise
Mhm.
like swimming, and he's like, "Hey, I got pool therapy again for maybe 2 months a year." Again,
I don't know
we're in
about. I don't know if it's that short. I don't know if it's that. If it's just 2
what
months. but
the swimming season in the Twin Cities is.
it's
Okay.
at least 9 weeks. Let's say
So they move in very quickly. We get almost
that's
no
what that movie
footage.
9.5 weeks was about, right? Was about how
Yeah.
long you can use a pool in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you legally have to dispose of
Yeah,
it.
that's what I told my parents when I rented it from the video store.
I thought it was about pool use in the Upper Midwest.
Like, rent it for me, mommy. Okay, so they move in very quickly. We see almost no footage of that. Their home looks immediately lived in.
I don't know that we need to see the move.
Stuart's like, how do I know that they moved in if I don't see it?
Yep. And then we are introduced. This
Dan
is one of,
Backstory McCoy took over Stewart's brain for a moment there.
Yep.
Stuart takes some issue with the movie because we are introduced to Cider the cat. And I'm like, as soon as that cat shows up, I'm like, evil
Yeah.
pool, there's a cat. They're going to kill this fucking cat.
You know that
Fuck
cat's
you,
not
movie.
gonna outlast it.
Okay.
Unless they're gonna
so
do an alien thing and it's just the cat and one other person that survives.
that would have been really cool. Unfortunately,
Yeah, if
I don't think that's the
If the
case.
pool saved the cat, then the pool would be our hero.
That's true.
that case.
Good
Mhm.
point. That's what that
Yeah.
book Save the Cat is all about. When pools are good and when they're evil.
When pools are evil on Fox.
Okay, so
We talked to Glenn Danzig about his pool. Yeah, pretty sure it's evil.
That's just because he hasn't cleaned it in a while. It's
Yeah.
filled with Glenn Danzig back
He
here.
says, "Can I go out and swim tonight?" That's a song. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And he keeps swimming with makeup on. That's a bad idea.
He clogs the filter. That's pretty bad. Yeah.
So they're like starting to get like situated in their various at school, and they're starting to make friends, yada yada. They're cleaning out the pool to get it all set up. They
They are
Ray-
by hand as a family. They have drained the pool and they are scrubbing it by hand.
have you
which
ever done that, Elliot?
I have not ever done that. No. It seems very silly to me.
In the process,
Partly also because like a pool ladder doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the pool, so I don't know how they're all going to get up out of the pool when it's done. Maybe the shallow area is shallow enough that you can
Probably
just climb out.
Skateboard out,
yes,
if I
skate or die.
Yeah.
understand
Hire
how
a
these
couple
things work.
of Z boys or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what skate or die means. Is because if you can't skate your way out, you die in the bottom of the
Wow.
pool.
Horrible.
Okay, so they bring. At one point, Ray cuts his hand while fishing through the drain. That's gross, and
That was dumb. Don't reach
in.
in. Don't reach into
Yeah.
any kind of drain with your
Don't do
bare
that.
hand. Don't do that.
And then they bring a pool guy in who explains that this pool is not connected to the sewage system. It's instead connected to an aquifer under the ground, so it's supernatural, and people believe it has healing properties.
I like this pool guy. I like this guy. He had a lot of
Yeah.
he had a lot of personality.
This is a character that for a second, like I looked away from the screen, and for a second, hearing the voice, I thought maybe it was Paul Scheer because it had sort of that vibe of like
Yeah.
we brought in Paul Scheer to do this character.
I believe
He would
this
have
is-
crushed it. He would have
He would
crushed
have.
it.
Yeah, he
I
would've.
believe if this was a sillier movie, that would impulse. I believe this is Ben Sinclair from High Maintenance.
Oh,
this
Oh,
character.
right. Okay. Yeah, no shade to him. Just
Yeah.
okay. So we get a little scene of the family swimming in the pool, which is important because there's a sequence where they're they're fishing for quarters. Have you ever played this game, Elliot, where you
No.
chuck quarters in?
Just
I've
because
played
we're
this game.
Jewish, Stuart, doesn't mean that all our games involve money and my children racing after money.
That's man, got me fair.
No, I as a Gentile, I've
Gender
definitely
rights.
done this. I have, swum to try and find an item that has been chucked to the bottom of the pool.
We've
Usually
certainly
I
done
find-
that. We certainly throw like a toy that's meant to go down to the bottom to pick it up, but not
Okay.
not money. It's because frankly, it's a waste of money. We need that money, Stuart.
Yeah.
We're hungry
for
for
our
it.
gumballs.
Okay.
Gumballs.
They find an old magic camcorder. Every once in a while, we'll have like TVs flicker on and show us like weird flashbacks that may have happened or may not have happened, might be a fantasy. It feels like the magic of the pool extends far beyond the borders of that concrete pond. There's a variety of different pool shenanigans that make us believe that the pool is not all it's cracked up to be. At one point, Eve is swimming at night, and she feel like basically it messes with her. Like she feels like somebody's right behind her, or like whenever you go underwater, you see somebody at the edge of the pool. Then when you come up, they're not there. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The cat Cider goes missing almost immediately. So they find its collar, but that's it. So they get a pool cover, which will kind of matter later. Ray is oddly recovering super well. It's like the pool is the pool from Cocoon, but instead of aliens,
It is
ghosts.
like the Cocoon pool.
So like his hand heals miraculously fast, and then his MS is like regressing considerably. He's doing great. He's even like he set up a little gym in the garage where he's watching either real home movies he's made or fantasy movies. I don't know. And he's pushing 185, and that's not nothing, man. That's some serious weight.
I'll let the character know that you approve.
yeah. If he's repping those out, that's pretty good, bud.
Yeah.
Okay. And he lets at this point he is so preoccupied with pushing that 185, which I get it, man. You know, gains don't sleep for no one. But he's
don't sleep for no one. Now let's parse this.
So he's
Gains are asleep, but they don't do it for no one.
No, you can't let you can't let you can't let him rest. You gotta work on him. Okay, so he's so busy pushing plate that he can't go swimming with his son, who just wants to connect with him.
Yeah,
and so he's like, just stay in the shallow end, bud. And I'm like, this feels very irresponsible.
This is very responsible. This is bad. You should always have an adult at least watching a child in a pool. You know.
And so, of course, the ghost pool messes with him. It throws quarters in there somehow. It makes him believe that there's somebody at the edge of the pool or on the diving board. And then there's a little ghost girl hiding in the filter. And it's got like hair and crap. It's really gross, and it scares him. And it also shares a name. The name is Rebecca. So of course, Elliot is
Farm.
Elliot is
the first
Rebecca.
Mrs. De Winter.
Well, when she said her name was Rebecca Summers, I'm like, wait, that's not Phoenix's name? No, that's Rachel.
No, it's Rachel Summers. Yeah,
I know, I messed that one up. Yeah. So of course, Elliot immediately goes running to his mom to cry about the whole thing, getting Ray in trouble.
To be fair, he's a sensitive lad, and he also saw a ghost.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so
paddling on that ghost.
Yeah. So Ray at this point
was always the worst. When I was a kid, I don't think kids get this as much now. When I was a kid and I was being bullied, and I would go to a teacher or someone, and they'd go, "Don't be a tattletale." And I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
That's insane.
No,
I got told that so many times from adults. Crazy.
Grew up with a bad attitude that I'm glad is gone, but I can only
Look,
assume.
do you want to be a snitch, kid? Are you a snitch?
Are you guys thanking the terrorists for making us, turning us into a see something, say something culture?
I didn't say that. I mean, I'm thinking
Dan
child psychiatrists and like.
I think a better understanding of bullying not being like a fun thing.
Yeah, of course.
I think we now live in a culture that I think no longer heroicizes the bully the way that it once did.
Well, also, like, you got to believe that was just teachers being lazy, right? That's like, I don't want to.
I think that was half of it. I think half of it was teachers being lazy, and half of it. I mean, I think a third of it was teachers being lazy. A third of it was them looking at me and being like, "I would bully you if I could. I don't like you either, weakling." And a third of it was this idea of like, "Come on, it's all in good fun. Toughen up," you know.
Yeah, and I feel like
there's only so many times you can be walking down a hallway and someone punches you in the side that it stops being fun. So,
well, you said the idea of like society heroicizing the bully, and I think that's not. You're close to it. I think the idea is that like pop culture has really focused in on the idea of the bullied kid turning around and like defeating the bully in some kind of show of strength or wit
in a way that is on the same wavelength as the original bully challenge.
Yes.
That like, oh, if you're bullied, you should probably bully back. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like turn this into your the crucible for which your strength is forged.
Yeah.
Okay, so he complains to his mom, and his mom's like, listen to him, she's concerned.
It did, you're right, it did work for Conan.
When he's strapped to the wheel of pain?
I would also say that Conan, let's just taking it at face value, he also lives in Hyperborea, a time before time and a history before history, you know, when only the strong survive and the only law is the sword. So we don't live in that world anymore, you know?
I mean, I feel like Conan really could have done with some therapy, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
everyone can, but especially a guy who's been strapped to the wheel of pain for his entire childhood. Yeah.
Now, Conan, this thing about wanting to hear the lamentations of their women, that seems something we should unpack.
It's true. I think he's
What
just
is it
telling
about?
his audience what they want to hear, though, at that point.
Yeah, he is. That is true.
Okay, so
He's playing for the crowd, and the crowd is Warlord. Yeah,
Yeah. So Elliot has a baseball practice, and Ray gets invited because,
I do?
of course, he's
I gotta go. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to double book like this.
Don't forget your short pants and long socks.
No, you don't wear short pants when you play baseball.
You don't wear
No.
short pants and long
No.
You
socks?
gotta slide into bases. You can't do that in short pants.
No,
I mean,
but
you-
I mean those pants that they
go
don't
to
go all the way.
mid-calf,
Yeah,
rather.
mid calf. That's what I mean.
Okay. Well, they don't
They're
really
like
wear
capri
those
they're
anymore.
like tight capris, right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
they don't really wear those anymore.
They
Yeah.
don't.
No,
They drink Capri Suns.
they do
I mean
that.
they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That they do, young Daniel. That they do.
They big league chew. They just chomp it down by the fistful.
They're trying to teach kids not to use a starter pack on their way to chewing tobacco. So I think Big League Chew is no longer the hit it once was.
Wow.
You know, Big League Chew. If I'm remembering this correctly, one of the creators of it was Todd Phillips, the director,
Really? Wait.
and then he
I-
got cut out of it basically.
I don't. Yes, No, not Todd Phillips. Todd Field.
Todd
You're thinking
Field. I'm
of
sorry, Todd Field. Yes, not Todd Phillips. Todd Field. That's what I mean.
That yes, I do. That is a true thing, or at least
Yeah.
something that I've read. I don't know
Something
if it's true.
I've heard. Todd Field. Thank you. The of the two Todds, the one who's
the one who is in
movies
the
I-
bedroom.
I like a little more.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Although
wonderful.
Tar and Joker are kind of the same movie in a way, right? You know.
yeah. There's that moment when Lydia Tar gets Joker-fied. Okay, so
She's
Ray
one
Ta-
step away. If there's any other fictional character who's going to be Joker-fied, I imagine it's Lydia Tar. Yeah.
So Ray tags along to baseball practice because he's a former famous professional baseball player, and after doing some coaching, they're like, "Hey Ray, why don't you give it a shot?" He takes a couple swings, and you're like, "Oh man, yeah, this is probably a bad idea." And then he has this vision of he channels the power of the pool, and he gets super baseball skills and strength.
Mhm.
He sees visions of himself being a badass baseball dude, and he just dings that thing right into the fucking lights, baby. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Breaks the
so-
lights, tears part of the hide off that ball.
Yeah, he's the natural. Okay.
I mean, it was a supernatural.
Yep, that's true. Oh, man, that's a better joke. Alex, delete what I just said and just make what Elliot said sound
No.
kind
I
of like
mean,
I
mine
said
doesn't.
it or
Mine doesn't make
inspired
any
it.
sense without yours. So.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense too. Okay, so back home, Ray is kind of obsessed with the pool and he's like staring at the TV of baseball highlights or whatever. He and his wife go out, leaving the kids home alone. Elliot, of course, is
burglars.
Yeah, Elliot is customizing action figures,
Cool.
which is pretty cool. And then Izzy has her Christian swimming boy over. They play romantic Marco Polo in the pool for a little while, and then the ghost does some shenanigans.
Christian Swimming Boy sounds like a poorly translated, foreign, romance novel.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So the ghost is like,
the ghost is like, they were playing Marco Polo, so the ghost is now like Polo, which seems silly to me. Like if it's we're led to believe later that this is this kind of ancient force that's always been around, and the idea that it likes to toy with its victims seems silly to me. But
Well, it's hung around long enough. It's picked up a few things. I
so
guess.
it's bored.
yeah.
Unless this is like a Tom Bombadil type ancient evil force, which is very silly.
Is
you know?
this the part where she sort of swims down and then she's in sort of a void beneath the pool and
Yeah.
you can see just the one window of light up at the, I thought
I
that
think
was
so.
pretty
That happens
neat.
here and it happens later too. But it is
Later,
it
yeah.
is neat. It's a cool
impossibly
image. Yeah.
deep. It's like she's traveling down into Relia where Cthulhu lies dead.
Lies dreaming. Yeah. Dead Cthulhu lies dreaming or waits dreaming. Is he
So after-
waiting or is he just lying or is he waiting?
He's waiting.
Okay.
Or it
Because the
depends.
waiting is the hardest
Actually, you
part.
know what?
that song's
When you
You're
about
Cthulhu and the stars aren't right. Yeah.
Yep.
I think we should just take a boat out there and check.
Okay.
I don't think that's caused any problems.
Well, let me call it. Let me.
No one's ever had an issue doing that.
No.
In the
Also,
history. I
yeah.
got this idol that I bought at a store, and it
Yeah.
Sure.
gives me a headache when I look at it. But I think we should still check.
Okay. Sounds legit.
Okay, so afterwards, Izzy wants to keep it quiet that the pool attacked her. She and Elliot get in an argument, and at one point, Izzy's like, "What makes more sense, that the pool is helping us or that it's haunted?" I'm like, neither of them makes sense technically, man.
Yeah.
The
Technically,
pool.
it shouldn't be either. She
Kind of
also
a
doesn't want to
neutral
get into
value.
trouble. She doesn't want to
Yeah.
get into trouble for having a boy over.
Yeah.
Too.
And she doesn't want to get into trouble. And also that, like, in general, aside from pool attacks, their life seems to be better. They haven't had to move as much. Their father seems to be recovering.
They are hostages to his mood in
Yeah.
a way that the movie doesn't really get into, but again, would make a better movie. That
Yeah,
when he
yeah.
is feeling
You mean
strong,
you mean a movie called The Shining?
I mean, yeah, in some ways, in a lot of ways, yeah. But when he's feeling physically strong, the
Yeah.
family is doing better, because
Yeah.
he is feeling confident and powerful. And exactly. So the family seems to be doing better. Why rock the boat just because this pool seems to have a little bit of a haunted problem,
Speaking of rocking, it's time for a pool party. You don't make a movie about a haunted pool without a badass pool party.
You gotta
right,
have a
Dan?
pool party.
And
I guess
everybody
that's the
shows
rule.
up. You have a big hairless guy who's really weirdly muscular.
I really wondered who that guy was and why they invited him because nobody seems to like him, and
Yeah.
and the dad doesn't know his name. He just calls him Bald Shrek or something like that.
Hairless
I
Shrek.
like
And I'm
that.
like,
Shrek.
Shrek's already hairless, I think. I haven't
Yeah,
checked
good point.
downstairs.
Yeah, you haven't
Put in
checked
the
him
goose.
all the way.
I
But what if the fact is that he's hairless everywhere except downstairs, and there's just a thick, tangled
Yeah.
thatch
Terrifying.
and thicket
Terrifying.
around his gnarled ogre penis as crooked as a wizard's staff.
Yeah.
I like this idea, Stuart, that I feel like you were sort of getting into, that a pool party has certain required characters, and one of them is a big hairless man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
Who
who the
throws
others
the
are.
kids around and always wants to play
Yeah.
chicken and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and their realtor shows up with a super boozy cake and talks about her husband's famous G-string, as if that's some kind of threat. Yeah, it's really fun. While like the party's going on, Eve is cutting some watermelon and learning the tragic backstory of the house. Of course, anytime a character's cutting something in a somewhat horror movie, I'm like, don't cut your finger off,
Yeah.
please. That stresses me out too much. But she learns that like the previous owners had children had gone missing, and there were some terrifying things. Meanwhile, in the pool, Ray takes a young baseball prodigy onto his shoulders to play chicken. They go and they get deep into the water.
The son of Elliot's baseball coach, who
Yep.
Ray connects with so easily because they're both into baseball, and you can tell Elliot is left out of this.
So they get, they're wrestling. Ray and the kid win, but they end up getting too deep into the pool, and then some like black water goes up Ray's nose, and then he acts possessed, and he drags the kid even deeper into the water, and it's almost like he's trying to drown the kid.
Yes, and after this, I mean, so like the kid is, they get the kid out. Elliot sees this from a distance, like raises the alarm. They get the kid out.
Elliot is videotaping the party from his room, which is
Yeah.
creepy.
He's acting like a
It's
little creep.
creepy.
But,
but he does. It does.
I
Mean
don't
that
think
he
he's doing
saves
it
this
for
kid's life.
creepy reasons,
No, I
right?
don't
There's
think
no
so.
implication.
No,
in it.
he can only live through a screen, like
Exactly.
so many of us.
Yes, I mean it's a little bit. The movie briefly turns into the Fablemans, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But he saves the kid, and then his dad is also like almost drowned. And they bring him back, and the parents of the kid, like, look, I get that you're going to be mad that this happened. Like, this is terrifying. Your child almost died, but the degree to which they're like, you stay away from our family. I'm like, well, there is an explanation here that this man has a disease that maybe made him clamp onto this kid, and he almost drowned too. Like it felt like such a horror movie thing of like, not just like, I am angry and shaken, but like, stay away from us.
Yeah,
I mean,
guess
yeah,
so.
I can understand it to some extent, but it's also like I think the first part is correct. Like I feel like people, when presented with something that even in a rational moment they'd be like, "Oh, he is suffering from an illness.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault." But in the heat of the moment, you're like, "Stay away from us."
Yeah.
I've seen parents react that way to things. Like I think it is partly heat of the moment thing. Like their son did almost drown.
So they are the party's over. It was kind of a hit, but it had a bummer
It
ending.
did not have a great ending. That's true.
And so they're like, and though the parents aren't going to press charges,
They're like, I made all this Jello, and everybody left before they ate it. What am I going to do
Yeah.
with this?
On the plus side, there was watermelon. On the minus side, there were 2 near drownings.
Mhm.
So
So they're kind of shunned by the parents and the local community. Eve's first decision is like, we need to get the fuck out of here. There's something wrong with this pool. Ray's like, I don't think so. We shouldn't. I love the pool. But they get in the car and they try and leave. But then Ray starts choking on water. What's happening? So they got to stick his ass in bed. And Eve starts to do some detective work. She does a little bit of Google work.
She does the kind of research that and I know they were in a rush to buy this house. The kind of research most people would do before buying a house.
Yeah.
Is looking up whatever you can online about the past history of it. I certainly did that before I bought my house. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any terrifying backstory?
Sadly, no.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
just a regular house. Yeah.
So she's able to.
I was kind of hoping to be it would be like a murder house or maybe like a mysterious, like, a gangster lived here and maybe he buried some gold in the basement and he's going to want it back, but there's not even a basement.
A
Yeah.
TV sucked a child into it in this house in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing like that. Yeah.
Didn't have a Black Dahlia or anything.
No, nothing. Not a dahlia of any color whatsoever.
Okay, that's too bad. So the
a purple dahlia?
So her Google work leads her to a very lovely home owned by Lucy, an older woman that we learn was the mother of Rebecca, the little girl we saw in the beginning.
Yeah,
of the
former
movie.
Psychiatrist, unlicensed, used to pull a football away from another kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same Lucy.
Yeah, I mean, it was after that she got that drug that let her use 100% of her brain, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's how she ended up in the sky with all the diamonds. Yeah.
Okay, so
is the Lucy from the movie? Is she supposed to have gone back in time and met Lucy the hominin? Is that the hominid? Is that part of that movie or no? Because she does meet like a pre-human hominin,
so,
right?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's supposed to be the famous
well.
Lucy that was dug up in the 60s.
Yeah, you might be right actually. Man, that's trippy stuff, right?
That movie.
Think about it.
What a ridiculous movie! So much of it is Morgan
Scarlett
Freeman.
Johansson? Oh.
No, is Morgan Freeman just lecturing made up nonsense where he's like, oh yeah, at 50% of the brain's use, you can travel through time, and his audience is like, yes. It's like, what science is this built on?
This is an audience that has been doped down by like explaining YouTube videos that are like, check out this crazy conspiracy.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. So she has a conversation with this woman. You learn that her son is a huge success. What is he, a senator or something?
He's like a diplomat.
Yeah,
he's like
a big
involved
deal.
in some kind of international aid work or something.
And he had
like
a horrible illness when he was a kid that he miraculously recovered from. This conversation happens inside a dimly lit parlor that has a very noticeable water feature that is also very loud. At one point,
it's a weird indoor water feature.
Yeah, Lucy's explaining she's explaining the kind of the history of the region and the water of the region, and basically explaining the mystery of how this ancient aquifer heals people but requires a sacrifice in return. And she explains this while she's pouring herself a glass of water and spilling water all over the place.
When she is pouring the water, it is kind of funny. She is so overflowing it, like that, because it's supposed to be spooky, but it just comes off as like she's so distracted she's not paying attention to what she's doing.
This scene definitely puts a lot of weight on the idea that we're just going to find any water scary. And I'm like, is this the same water? I'm led to believe that this pool is scary, but why am I led to believe that all water is a symbol of
you're
evil?
supposed to be in the audience being like, there's water. It's so frightening. My own body, 80% of my own body.
I can't escape it.
Hacking cells away. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get the water out of me.
The audience is the aliens from Signs. Spoiler if you haven't seen Signs yet. Okay, so Eve, Eve is concerned. She's like, that's not a real, like, a sacrifice isn't like, in this situation, you're doing something for benefit. You traded your daughter's life for your son's life. And then Lucy starts to act weird, and then black stuff starts oozing out of her eyes and mouth, and then she speaks with the voice of the water. Mm-hmm. And she's
you
like,
know what? I thought she seemed familiar. Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to break into a little episode of Elliot in the Isles. That's right.
Sure.
Lucy is played by Jodie Long. Who, among her other roles, she's an Emmy Award winner. I saw her last year in A Little Night Music at the Pasadena Playhouse.
Oh.
She was playing the older former actress who was kind of reminiscing about the lovers that she had. She was really good in it. She was
Now,
really good.
Did she have black water oozing from her eyes during
would
that
explain
performance?
it.
No, she didn't. Strangely
Okay.
enough, in this performance of A Little Night Music, the Stephen Sondheim's musical about kind of like love and how love kind of runs its course or returns, and the foolish ways that love makes us act. She did not have black water pouring out of her eyes at any point. No.
I
you
mean,
didn't go see A Little Night Swim music?
I think it would have been a strong choice, Elliot. I don't know.
I talked to the directors. I mean, I didn't produce this production. I didn't put it up. I just went and saw
I
it
thought
as an
Elliot was
audience
going to say,
member.
talk to the hand, because he's lifted his hand up.
But it was a great production. Anyone gets a chance to go back in time to the production of Little Night Music at the Pasadena
I
Playhouse.
guess once I use 50% of my brain, I can do that.
Okay,
it was
so-
really good, and she was really good in it.
So Eve flees the evil woman possessed by the water. Meanwhile, Ray's at home taking a shower, and guess what? He gets possessed by the water too. The pool then lures Elliot out to the pool using the sound of the cat. And he thinks he's helping the cat, and then it is, I'm guessing, a ghost cat or something, and it drags him into the water. And then the magic evil pool starts closing the pool cover to trap Elliot in the water. Eve runs out. Eve and Izzy try and stop the pool cover, and I guess they stop it about halfway. She dives in after her son while Izzy runs inside to go get help. She slips on water.
Oh no!
no.
And
you can't get away from it.
Gets a handful of broken glass for her trouble. Meanwhile, her dad starts chasing her around Shining style, saying Marco Polo and shit. And also he has the water seems to be leaking out of him like he's Hydro Man. Meanwhile, underwater, the pool's impossibly deep. She swims deeper and deeper until she finds her son floating down there. They are beset by ghosts and spirits. She's dragging her son out, and they find the ghost of Rebecca, who gives them a magical quarter.
Okay.
And that gives them the idea to swim in
They
which
can put
direction
that
to
in
escape.
the machine from Big so that they can get a wish. Yeah.
Zoltar?
Zoltar. Yeah, something like that. Zoltar
okay.
or Zoltan?
It's
I don't
Zoltar, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, like the movie Tar. You got it.
Yeah.
What if what the movie Tar was about? She turned into that machine, or she got a wish from it.
What if?
Yeah. Well, if that was her defense for her behavior, she's like, I'm just a little kid who got big.
Mhm. I didn't know better. My moral sense isn't developed.
Yeah.
Okay. So Izzy, so they get out of the water, and then Ray shows up, and then Izzy starts hitting him with a bat. So she beats him with a bat because he's being a brat. And
Yeah, that's what you do.
he starts having visions of the good times they had, and then the water starts pouring out of him, and he's back to normal. But Elliot is still not recovering. The pool won't let him go. So Ray knows what he has to do. He goes swimming into the water, and he sacrifices himself,
He lets
and
the
his
pool
son
take him.
recovers. It's really great. That's it. That's the end of the movie.
Well, no,
Well,
at
no.
the
There's
end-
there's one last little bit at the end.
Yeah,
Okay,
at
yeah,
the
tell me.
end, they're like, they talk about how they could move, and the daughter's like, but then it'll just happen to another family. Dad wouldn't want that. And this is while the pool is being filled in, which is what I was saying, just fill in the pool. I don't know why they can't fill in the pool and then move.
No, that's true. But also, what I like is they're watching the pool being filled in. They are feet away from the pool as this bulldozer is about to dump a bunch of stuff into it. It's just there's no way
Yeah.
of letting them stand that close to this construction site. You got to step back a little bit. But yes, they're filling in the pool, and they will be the guardians, I guess, for eternity, passed down from generation to generation of this evil, demonic freshwater spring.
To invoke Poltergeist again, it's like when Craig T. Nelson pushes the TV out of the hotel room at the end. This is, they're filling in the pool.
Yeah, similar level of joke.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Shocktober categories.
Yeah, what are they? I
As
can't
we
I
all
remember.
always
know.
forget. Yeah.
Was this totally scarifying? Was it totally snorifying? Or was it frighteningly funny? And of course, totally scarifying is the equivalent to kind of liked it. Here's the thing. I didn't like this movie, but if there was a category that's like, yeah, I don't know, I don't mind this, like it would kind of fall in
So
there.
even with our special October categories, we still have the same problem we always have, which is the categories don't adequately explain
Look, if you're gonna pin me
human
down,
art.
Yeah, they don't encompass all of existence.
if you're gonna pin me down, I'd go mild snorifying. But the thing is, like, actually, there's some stuff in this movie I liked. Okay, like I think, Carrie Condon and Wyatt Russell, both actors I like. I think they do a good job in the movie. I think the movie actually looks pretty stylish during a lot of it.
Yeah, it's a good-looking movie. Yeah.
It's just too thin an idea to sustain a whole film, even at a relatively short length.
It feels like the fun of a movie about a haunted pool, the fun would be the different ways you force characters to have to be in the pool or go to the pool. And instead the characters just kind of keep going swimming. Like the fun of like why these characters have to be dragged to a pool.
It feels like there's such a commitment to the real story of it, like the family drama element of it. And as you said, like that's in many ways more interesting than the kind of mishmash of kind of overdone haunted stuff ideas. But it also makes it less of an effective horror movie because I'm like, well, I want it to be fun and scary. I don't want to.
Yeah, if it was more drama, it would be better. If it was a sillier horror movie, it would be better, probably.
Yeah. But it's trying to be both, and it succeeds not at all. I would say it's snorifying.
I would also call it snorifying. Again, I'd rather see, like I said, I'd rather see this movie without the pool and just have it be a family movie. But as it is, I agree. It falls between
you could still call it Night Swim.
Yeah, it could still be about like they have a pool. Like you can still have a pool in the movie. It still could be called Night Swim, but it's it's kind of not silly enough to be a pool horror movie, and it's not deep enough. It's not shallow enough to be a good horror movie, and it's not deep enough to be a good drama. But they're trying. You know what? Give them credit for trying.
Sure, yeah. Everybody had fun.
Participation trophy for Night Swim.
Yeah.
Hey, all episodes of The Flophouse are supported largely by listeners like you, but also we have a few businesses that support us. And this week we are sponsored in part by Squarespace. It's a service that lets you build a beautiful website for entrepreneurs to stand out, for you to succeed online. If you've got a brand already or you're just starting out, it'll make it easy for you to make a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything you like, from products to content to time in your terms. You can start a completely personalized website with their Squarespace Blueprint. That's their guided design system where you can choose from professionally curated styling options and make your online presence from the ground up that's tailored to your specific business and optimized for all devices. You can make checkout seamless for your customers with their payment tools. You can accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, the option is available for customers to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. You can sell your products and services with an online store with Squarespace, whether you sell physical goods, services, digital content. It has the tools you need to start selling online. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you are ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/flop to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's Squarespace, guys. I told you about it.
You nailed it.
You did. You did tell us about it. You told us you were going to tell us about it. You told us about it, and then you told us about it.
It's true.
Good job. And now I'm going to tell the listeners about something. Hey, everybody, it's not just October. It's not just spooky season. It's Flop TV season. That's right.
What?
Flop TV Season 2, the 1-hour televised online version of the Flophouse, where we broadcast live the first Saturday of every month, and then that episode is available to watch at your leisure afterwards. It's going on right now. Each episode is packed with entertainment. There's a new presentation by one of us, a video segment from one of us. We take questions from the viewers, and we give the Flophouse treatment to a movie we've never covered on the podcast before. And this season, Dan, what's it all about?
Sequels.
That's right,
Number
sequels.
twos.
We're talking about movies that are real number twos. Sequels, that is. We already had our RoboCop 2 episode. This episode will be coming out after we do our Breakin' 2 episode. That's the Electric Boogaloo, of course. And
Yeah,
our
of
next
course.
episode coming up will
Famously.
be on... Yes, famously. Our next episode will be on Saturday, November 2nd at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll be talking Caddyshack 2. It's all number 2 movies. And then later on in the season, we'll be doing Ski School 2, Highlander 2, Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. Lots of twos. We love the number 2.
Stuart's eyes lit up as soon as Ski School 2 was mentioned.
Like, oh, finally, some good
Something
shit.
for Stuart.
Yeah, something for me.
And for the audience. So just go to theflophouse.simpletix.com and you can buy individual tickets for each show or a season pass, which has a discounted rate. It's like getting one free show if you buy the season pass. If you miss the first couple episodes of the season, don't worry. The season pass, it lets you watch the video of those, and they'll be up online through the end of February, through the end of this series. So we started in September, and we're going to go through February, 1 episode a month, 6 episodes in total. The first Saturday of every month at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Go to theflophouse.simpletix.com. And I've been having a lot of fun with Flop TV this season. I think
Great.
we took the first season was fun, and now we're really pushing it even more. We're doing more with video. We're having more fun. We're joking more, laughing more, living more, loving more, learning more. Twice
Wow.
of everything.
My doctor just told me I'm not allowed to love anymore.
At
Sorry.
all?
Yeah,
I'm already
not-
loving too much, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your heart's too big.
My heart is too big. Also, I'd like to make a little plug here, guys. I
Sure.
think it's my time to shine.
Oh, okay.
My wife, Charlene, is opening a studio gym in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. It's called Jiggle Studio. It is a body positive studio gym that is focused on moving the body you have. The Kickstarter just went up because we are hoping to get some help opening this cool little space. You can find us on Instagram at jiggle_studio BK. You can find us on Kickstarter. We're already doing really well, but every little bit helps to help us get over that finish line. There's some cool rewards, including shirts, water bottles, etc. There's some cool art done by some local artists and friends of the show. And every little bit helps, so you can go check that out. She's worked very hard on this, and I'm very proud of her. So please check that out.
Hey, and while we're talking about stuff, I want to say if you haven't subscribed to the Flophouse newsletter, Flop Secrets, if you go to flophousepodcast.com, there's a field where you can put your email in there, and it lets you know about what we're all up to, but also there's some extra stuff in there. It occurred to me that, I should let people know the kind of thing that you can get in that newsletter. Early and Small Timber, for instance, I listed some smaller good, bad movies, some recommendations if you wanted to have your own at-home Small Timber fun. I've done a couple of last chance mailbags where, we can't get to all the letters on the podcast itself. So you answer some of them.
Lord knows we
there.
try,
Just some silly comedy stuff is in there. So, why not? If you're interested, why not? That's my slogan.
It's a cool way to make sure you don't miss any of the various things that we are doing.
Yes, and it's literally free.
It's free.
It's true.
Hey there, it's KT at Max Fun. Have you listened to the Flophouse's bonus content? They've done commentary tracks for all kinds of movies. They got the Country Bears, Bratz, and, yes, even cats. It's like watching a movie right alongside Dan, Stewart, and Elliot. You can go listen to those right now if you're already a Maximum Fun member. But if you're not, any time of year is a good time to support the show by joining Max Fun, starting at just $5 a month. And when you do, you get to feel good because you're supporting the show, and you also get access to the bonus content for every other Max Fun show, too. So go on over to MaximumFun.org/join. Thank you so much for your support.
Let's move on to letters from listeners. This first letter.
Open up that spooky Halloween mailbag. Oh, Are those letters or are those
Creep.
is that the hair of the dead witch? These are her eyeballs. Ooh.
These are her letters.
These are her peeled grapes
Oh,
that
no.
she keeps.
We've just received this
I mean,
from the
that's-
ghost office.
Oh,
I mean,
there you go.
honestly, that's pretty fucked up. That she'd just be like, have a bunch of spaghetti, like cooked spaghetti and like peeled grapes. In a
Yeah, what
bag.
kind of meal is that?
That's crazy.
This
Man,
is
it's, I guess, the opposite of the Atkins diet, right? A lot of
Yeah.
carbs, yeah.
yeah, this is from Ben Last Name Withheld, who writes,
Mhm.
Ben 10.
Hi, Peaches. My wife and I love each other immensely, and we have a lot of the same tastes in things. Food.
Sounds like it's working out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, no problem here. We can move on. Taste and things: food, humor, vacations, books, etc. All golden, but not in a creepy way. The only major sticking
I'm
point.
sure etc. Encompasses a startling range of sexual peccadillos as well. Yeah.
Yeah. The only major sticking point we have is film choices. She's got more of an art house taste,
Uh-huh.
and I have a more flophouse palate. She loves your podcast, by the way. We can sometimes meet on certain ground, like A24 films, Edgar Wright, Wes Anderson, Sorry Not Sorry, and such. However,
I think that was directed at Stewart, since
Yeah.
Stuart
listeners
specifically.
should know. I think Wes Anderson is a film artiste of the highest order. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's only 1/3 of the podcast that's directed it. However, a lot of the time
He's not listening, guys.
be our friend. However, a lot of the time we end up sitting on the couch lobbing titles at one another, then eventually settling on Taskmaster, which is great, but we're running out of episodes. Any advice? Thank you and Godspeed. Ben, last name withheld.
I mean, it seems like the first thing is you could alternate.
That's the first thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was also where I was like, I feel like I have this problem too with Audrey, where it's not like we don't like the thing that the other person wants to watch. Most of the time we do, but we also want to be in control. We want to be the one saying, like, this is the thing that I'm interested in tonight. And the best thing we found to do is to just alternate choices.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and if you want any, I'm sure that they also want like some
middle ground.
movie middle set suggestions. You know, I mean, like the first thing that comes off the top of my head is "Sorry to Bother You." Is a movie that I feel like it's an somewhat of an artsy movie, but it's also somewhat of a bonkers movie. So maybe, and I think it's
true.
a great movie. I think it's really great. So that
Yeah.
could be one that does something. You know, but there are plenty of artsy movies that are also on the stranger end of things. You know, Possession.
House.
That's another one.
House.
That's another.
Houseu.
Houseu. That's another. You know.
Yeah.
I
And
guess,
House.
Yeah, and the American House. It's very artsy.
yes, I think maybe like if
George
you,
Wentz in it, dude.
like take a stroll the two of you through that psychotronic video guide. Maybe make a kind of a love game out of it. You know,
I mean, I would say we have recommended a lot of movies on this podcast, and you can do. I'm sure we've recommended some artsy ones. We've recommended.
Some fartsy ones.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Oh.
mhm.
So yeah, I would. Yeah, you know.
I thought you were
mix it up.
saying just alternate back and forth between Elliot and Stuart picks, and then
And occasionally meet in the middle with a
everyone-
Dan pick.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not allowed to send Dan picks anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you never
police.
should have.
He's used,
You
he's
should have
used
known
up
not
too
to do
many
that.
megabytes of data. The family plan's fucked up because of Dan, so they
Yeah.
can't send them.
He's way
Family
more than his fair
plan.
share. Yeah, the Flophouse family plan. Yeah.
Yeah, like, dude, you used up all our data.
This is from Andrew, last name withheld.
Even used up all my data action figures from my SDTNG collection.
Andrew, last name withheld, writes, "Hey guys."
Did he
You
say it
wrote-
that loudly?
Well, he did have an exclamation point.
I
after
get it.
So.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Your Roadhouse episode.
Hey, real quick, guys, do
What?
you use when you guys communicate with people digitally? Do you use a lot of exclamation points?
I use
do
more than
do I use-
usual.
do I use
Yeah.
too many?
No.
No,
I feel
I-
like there's such a presumption of passive aggressive anger
Yes.
in digital communication. You need to use exclamation points more than you actually mean to.
Yeah, real talk. Like, do I use too many emojis, guys?
Yes, but that's a
do
different
you?
thing. No, I don't think so. You used
I
to
don't-
use a
I
lot.
don't
I feel like you
think
guys both
so.
used to use too many GIFs and stickers and things, and I would have to go in and delete them.
Because
it was taking up too much
why
space
do you
on my
have to-
phone.
Okay. You need to upgrade your phone, I think is the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
with
Or I
that.
can delete all these
Yeah.
GIFs that I don't
I
need.
guess so.
It's like
Those
my
GIFs are
Palm Trio
hilarious.
isn't running as fast as it should.
Oh, my beautiful gifts are being thrown in the garbage.
It's hard to get those gifts these days. Have you? This is the dumbest thing. But I was like, when I was trying to make a PowerPoint, I was trying to find gifts, and I feel like there's a couple of websites that have like locked them down, so you can't just easily save those things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, the internet, it's harder to find things in general than it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like tech companies are bad and don't have the user's interests in mind.
It's almost like that, but I know that's not the case.
They love us.
Shitification. Hey, guys, your Roadhouse episode reminded me of something I've been thinking about.
Roadhouse.
Opening a roadhouse?
Yeah. Advice? Why do you think... Yeah. Like, where can I get a fencing person who can fence in my band?
Yeah.
I mean, any person who builds fences can probably do that for you.
I've seen chain link fences for outside the building, but where do you find those ones that go inside the building?
Good fences make good bands, as Robert Frost said. Why do you think they used to make so many TV shows about a hero who goes from town to town, meeting new people and solving their problems before driving off into the sunset? And crucially, why did they mostly stop making these? The example I know best is the A-Team. The craziest example I can think of is the Canadian show, The Littlest Hobo.
Yeah,
in which the hero
it was a kid, yeah.
The hero was a dog.
Oh, dog. Sorry, not a kid, a dog, yeah.
I think a lot of cowboy shows were like this, and now I can only think of Jack Reacher. Were we more trusting of armed strangers in the past? Did we want to become armed travelers? Or did writers used to enjoy writing these stories and then they got tired of it? Thanks a bunch. Andrew, last name withheld.
I mean, I feel like there's a couple, like, for shows that are currently still like that. I mean, Poker Face, the Natasha Lyonne, Ryan Johnson show is exactly that.
Roaming Columbo.
And also there's that show Tracker.
Romy and Columbo's high school reunion?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tracker's like that.
Tracker's exactly that. And the thing is, his name isn't even fucking Tracker. It's something else that's like super cool.
It is. He does have a ridiculous name, but his name should be like Zach Tracker. Yeah.
Yeah. Zach Tracker will get your man backer.
Yeah. There's two reasons why they used to make these shows and they don't make it anymore. One is episodic versus serialization. TV shows used to always be episodic because under the understanding is once they air the first time, they will never air in that order ever again. If they go into syndication, they will air in random order. You don't want a viewer to feel like they had to see all the episodes leading up to this one in order to start watching because you may be in the third season of a show and you want new viewers to try it. So shows back then were were episodic, not serialized. And a way that you could do that more easily is if it's almost an anthology of stories where the same main character interacts with new people each time. You don't have it going over from one episode to the next. You don't have to worry about it. They're easier to make that way, easier to distribute that way. It's just the way that people watch television back then is different than the way they watch it. Back then, if you might miss an episode, you may never see it. So you can't have big story points that are necessary from episode to episode. The other is economically, it used to be a lot cheaper to make shows like that. You could pay the actors less because they were cycling through in and out. There were a lot more kind of standing sets you could just rent. There were a lot more locations you could just go to shoot things cheaply. And now there's a lot of that stuff is just much more expensive. It's cheaper now to have like a few places that you shoot and not be kind of just going out to some valley somewhere and shooting a bunch of stuff and then coming back. And it's just the different economics in the way that industry works. So those are two very valid, very, very real reasons. But the main one is I think that unfortunately, except for network television, everyone decided that they liked serialized storytelling the best. And I would argue that this was a bad move for television. It was at first when things moved to serialization, it seemed like it was having an enriching effect on television. It was making it more sophisticated. You could tell deeper stories. But I kind of feel like it's time for us to swerve back in the other direction because when I try a new TV show, I don't want to always have to start with the first episode, and I don't want to always have to jump into the middle of the series and have to pick up what the story is. Whereas if you wanted to watch a new episode of The $6 Million Man, Columbo, Incredible Hulk, A-Team, any of those, you could literally just be like, okay, I'll watch the episode that is on tonight, and I'll see if I like it.
There should definitely be more of a healthy mix, like everything in moderation. Like let's have the serialized stuff. Let's have the ones you can just dip in and out. Those are also a delight. And, I think you answered this much better than I could. So
hey, no problem, dude. I would also, this is just my personal bailiwick right now, but I would argue that serialization has hurt comedy shows especially. because it is hard for characters to remain funny if they are accumulating the trauma of previous episodes over multiple seasons. And it's like Barry in the beginning could be like a dark comedy, and then at a certain point it was just like it just became a dark show with minimal comedy, because at that point the characters had been through so much horror that like this, you can't.
I think that is
anymore.
a tough example, because I feel like that show is exactly what the creators wanted it to be.
Maybe it is. Then I'll try to think of some other ones, but I feel like there is a. I feel like serialization fights the kind of like the kind of fun of comedy.
I do think that there's something to be said in comedy for, like, you know, on the one hand, you want to get to know these characters. Like, comedies are always going to be funnier once you know the characters. It's why, you know, like the first season of sitcoms is rarely the best season of a sitcom. But on the other hand, there is something where you want a reset. You kind of want it to be like a newspaper comic strip where it's like no one ages, no one changes. Like
no one learns from their mistakes.
Yeah,
well, it's one of the setting aside all the racism in it. Seinfeld is such a funny show to me, partly because the characters accumulate cast members, like they remember things that happened before, but they're not emotionally affected by it. So it's not a matter of like, ugh, I'm still carrying all the feelings that I had from when this thing happened, you know, because that fights comedy for me, you know.
Yeah.
Let's move on to recommendations. I'm going to put Stuart up first because I think I know where he's going to go here.
You know, I just sent away for my kit and I injected the activator into my veins, baby. I've been substance pilled. Man, I fucking loved the Substance. If you haven't heard about it, it is a body horror gonzo feminist movie starring Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. It's great. It's like super intense, super in your face, directed by Coraline Farragut, is that her name? Who directed that movie Revenge, which is also very good. And it's like, to me, I've heard it compared to a David Cronenberg movie, and I feel like that's a little bit false. I feel like the closest thing it makes me think of is like a very stylish, very focused Brian Yuzna movie. And it is a little bit long, but I feel like I'll cut it some slack because I think everything along that movie makes sense. Every step makes sense, and it gets wilder and crazier, and it's really fun. I loved it. It's super intense and fun, and
to me, it like reminded me of like the biggest, most stylish Tales from the Crypt episode, because it has like such a very like focused sort of morality tale, like plot line, and the same sort of cruel gonzo comedy too.
Yeah, and I mean, Demi Moore gives such, like, the physicality of her performance is so incredible. Like, she is all in on this, and it's really, really great. Yeah.
Well, also part of the reason I wanted to set Stuart up first is that my movie recommendation is, in a weird way, on sort of similar themes. I recently saw A Different Man, which is also kind of about a person going through a dramatic physical transformation and the
I can't believe I walked into this.
Effects. Yeah, it was a trap.
Oh man, wait, I'm the butcher and I'm trapped in.
The Substance is sort of a wild, gross horror movie. A Different Man is sort of more a emotionally painful, wry comedy. Like it starts out sort of like grounded in semi-realism, even though absurd things happen. And then the twist that it takes as this character has a new face and changes and then finds himself in situations where like it's hard to, I don't want to get into it while spoiling, because I think that part of the pleasure is seeing it unfold. But he finds himself in these situations that he can't be totally honest about who he is. And because he's gone through these physical changes, he emotionally doesn't really know who he is. And the way it compiles and compounds upon itself just has a lot of just sort of knife twisting, like awkward humor to it. And so I also enjoyed that a lot. Elliot.
My recommendation is a fun movie. It's not one that I think is super amazing, but it's certainly an entertaining way to spend your time. And there's one thing in particular I really liked about it, and that's the movie The Verdict from 1946. Not The Verdict with Paul Newman, which is a great movie. This is The Verdict. This is the first movie that Don Siegel directed as a feature-length film. So the movie stars Sidney Greenstreet as a Scotland Yard superintendent who has accidentally sent the wrong man to the gallows and now is living with the shame of that. And his best friend, who is Peter Lorre, who is kind of like a suave creep. And I really love Peter Lorre's performance in this movie. He comes off as such a decadent.
Oh, do you think that guy can
cool
be a
guy.
creep? You think Peter Lorre can be a believable creep?
But he doesn't come off as like a creep who's like creepy. Instead, he's just kind of like a guy who's always on the make. You know, he's always looking for girls and a good time.
Yeah.
And Sidney Greenstreet now is there's a friend of his is accused of a murder, and he has to try to get him off the charges. And the replacement superintendent of Scotland Yard, George Coulouris from Citizen Kane and The Prisoner, is determined to prove that he knows what he's doing and Sidney Greenstreet is wrong. And it's just a fun little kind of like murderous mystery movie with a twist at the end. But I really love Peter Lorre's performance in it. It's great to see Peter Lorre playing a character who is not like who is not a monster in some way, but instead it's just kind of like the ladies' man, you know?
Yeah.
I went to my letterbox. I see it's already in my watch list. I think because Tarantino mentioned it in Cinema Speculation, his book, I believe.
He may have mentioned it in that,
it's a Don Siegel movie, and he is a fan.
And it's funny to see a Don Siegel movie that in many ways it has similar things with his other movies, but it's funny to watch him working in a like 1890s London milieu when I think of him as more of like an American action filmmaker, you know?
While we're in recommendations, I just remembered I wanted to say, if you live in New York, I just saw friend of the show, Natalie Walker, who was on our Cats episode, on the Sharon Tate, Haunting of Sharon Tate episode. She was kind enough to do the reading of The Boy Next Door with us on YouTube. She is appearing in a show called Big Gay Jamboree, the Big Gay Jamboree, off Broadway downtown.
That was the original title of the Country Bear Jamboree, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it doesn't need our help. I think it's doing pretty well. There was a sellout crowd, but if you're in New York, it was really good, and she was really funny in it, and it was exciting to see her in a show that good. So check it out if you can. Yeah, and I guess that's the end of our first Shocktober episode.
So spooky.
For 2024. Boogans, as Stuart
Stugans used to say.
Thank you to Maximum Fun, our podcast network over at MaximumFun.org. You can listen to a lot of other great podcasts, funny ones, ones that'll learn you something. Check it out. Thank you to Alex Smith, our producer. He goes by Howell Doughty all over the internet. He does music. He does Twitch streams. Check his stuff out. But that's it for the Flophouse. I've been Dan McCoy.
I've been Stuart Wellington.
I've been Elliot Kalin.
Okay. Bye.
On this episode, we discuss Night Swim.
Let me caution you, if you are a knight, do not go swimming. Your heavy armor will drag you to the bottom of the pool. You will drown. This is a safety update from the Flophouse, very relevant to this movie.
But what if there's a lady in that lake?
Just let her throw you a sword from her own location. You stay on the shore.
Okay, that makes sense.
Maximum Fun.
A worker-owned network
Of artist-owned shows.
Supported
Directly
by you.